it's Smiley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, March 12th. Okay, so we have the moon in Aries energy going void, of course, at 7:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be locking into Taurus energy at 8:29 p.m., which is making for a very long day of having the moon be void. When the moon is void, of course, things are shaky, things are unstable, things are uncertain. We begin to question ourselves, especially coming out of some very strong aha moments, some epiphanies, some ideas. Now we're kind of speaking fear into them. We're kind of breaking things down, if you will, and it is a necessary part of kind of, analyzing the smaller, finer details of the greater, grander plan that we should be focused on at this present time, at this present moment. Anytime we're shifting out of the Aries energy into the Taurus energy, we definitely notice that energy shift because we're moving out of this fiery energy to ground, into fixed earth energy. So it's almost like we hit a little bit of a brick wall. We realize where it is that we're not as manic, not as frantic as we were under the influence of Aries energy. We become a little bit more introverted. We pull back. We want to just kind of stick to what is tried, tested, and true, what is comfortable, what is familiar. We want to slow our roll. We just want to kind of hold on to the soothing part, the comfort part that we need to lean into in order to restabilize ourselves. We've had a lot pop off over these last couple of days. Mercury moved into Aries energy, the new moon in Pisces, Venus did a deep dive in Pisces energy, and now we are in the waiting period as we kind of gain a lot more momentum, very much aiming for this new calendar to finally unfold. I say that with a deep breath because many of us are going to start feeling the forward momentum really kind of kick our asses in high gear here, but we're still kind of wading the water, so to speak. And today is going to be a very interesting day where the moon is void for a very, very long time. And of course, we have a Mercury-Uranus transit taking place that's going to add to that anxiousness, to that, I'm going to call it scatterbrain distraction type of mental energy, and really put our central nervous systems to the test. So with that being said, there are 12 different aspects taking place here today. 8 of them are going to involve the moon. The moon in Aries energy going to come up to bump into, team up with Chiron, the wounded healer, also in that Aries energy. So as we've been discussing, anytime there's a conjunction, that means that this is just as much of an ending as there is a beginning. And because Chiron is the wounded healer, because we're in Pisces season, because we have to feel it in order to heal it, there is a certain resolution, let's say, a completion point, finality, if you will, of some of the heavier emotions that we've been trying to process, especially through this new moon window. The ending of that part is definitely a welcomed one. We are kind of understanding where it is that the heaviness, the weight has become a little bit too much for us to handle, and we're releasing that. We're surrendering that. How? Through acceptance, through integration. And so the beginning of this cycle is gaining empowerment, gaining strength from us doing the hard things, which happens to be this shadow work. And so as much as we are releasing some of the heaviness, some of the weight, we are feeling the freedom, the space, the repairment, the ability to see our inner realm growth. It's a beautiful thing. The moon, while still in Aries energy, going to make a positive interaction with Uranus, the great awakener in this Taurus energy. This is going to help us reframe what it is that we're leaving behind, what it is that we're moving closer to, especially where new ideas are concerned. This Aries energy has been very, very, I'm going to call it pressurizing in us figuring out what it is now that we want to pursue. New passions, new desires, new ideas to explore. Yes, we have some research to do, but nonetheless, our mood is changing. Our perspective is changing. We're having some aha moments. We're having a major shift in our mood, in our attitude, which is very, very empowering. It's putting us in a situation where we are actually preparing to take action and make moves. What a glorious thing that will be when we're gifted with the green light, go ahead to do so. The moon is then going to sextile Mars. So a sextile is a beautiful interaction. Mars, of course, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger. Still very much in this Aquarius energy. So sudden bursts, spontaneous bursts of excitement, of anxiety, even of anger, depending on which fuel we are currently using at this time. But one thing we know is that Mars rules over the Aries energy that the moon is in, so we have to expect that this is going to be an intense energy, building, cultivating this new spark, this new fire, this new flame within us. Now, yes, Mars, typically speaking, wants to take action and wants to make moves, but in Aquarius energy, we are tapping into the bigger, broader picture, the bigger visual field of what it is that we would like to build, what it is that we would like to create and bring to life, and therefore planning and strategizing the moves that we will be making when gifted with the green light go ahead to do that. This is about, again, staying motivated, staying inspired long enough to actually see things through. This is the last aspect that the moon in Aries will be making before going void, of course. And again, 7:09 a.m., we are going void. While void, we have Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money. Now in this Piscean energy, we just dove into this yesterday. If you haven't listened to the astro forecast for this event, I am going to recommend that you do so. If you have your Pisces season e-guide, I'm going to recommend that you take a little moment to flip to this particular event, capture your feelings. Capture what is weighing very heavily on your heart space. Capture where there is a change of heart taking place, either in your values, in your priorities, in your relationship dynamics, in your wants, needs, and desires. Now, Venus and Pisces energy, again, very fluid, very dreamy, very imaginative, also very lonely. Very much can lose ourselves to the deep, dark depths of our emotional field. Venus is going to semi-square, creating a little bit of tension, a little bit of conflict with the North Node in Aries energy. That is the energy that wants us to get on the right path, wants us to be more independent, wants us to kind of understand where it is that our own wants, needs, and desires have to be honored, as well as the obligations and commitments that we've made to other people. We have our own mission to complete. We have our own potential to reach. But this is not the greatest interaction. And because of this, we aren't really, where Venus is concerned and our heart space is concerned, we're really not in the particular, let's call it, phase of thinking about where it is that we're going. Because of course, Pisces energy needs us to focus on where it is that we've been. We have a lot of emotion to unpack. We have a lot of questioning to do where our wants, needs, and desires are concerned. And so as much as I would like to say that we are starting to kind of shift our heart space into building towards what would make us happy and what would make us feel more safe, secure, and stable, right now we have some unpacking to do with this Piscean energy, and it is going to take us up and down and all the way around in order for us to lighten the load in our heart space, of course, as we approach this new astrological calendar. The moon, while in Aries energy, but void, of course, is going to make a positive interaction with the sun. The sun, of course, still in Pisces energy. Anytime that the moon and the sun are coming together, there is a new aha moment, a new emotional awareness of what it is that we either have to kind of resolve, bring to a finality or completion point, or what it is now that we really want to pursue, what we're passionate about, what we're excited about, what it is that we have to explore from here. And so whichever way you kind of look at it, there is this want, need, and desire to jump into something new. That's the moon. You know, this Aries energy, very initiating, wanting to take the leadership role, wanting to bring forth a brand new cycle. But the sun, shining a bright light in this Pisces energy, is more about what it is that we have to resolve as far as looking back into the past goes before we can be aligned, mind, body, and soul, to jump into something new. So there is an aha moment. There's an emotional awareness. There's a huge spotlight on an area that, yes, we're anxiously awaiting to jump into, but we have to take a good look at the loose ends that we have to tie up before we can actually initiate this new chapter, this new cycle. The moon is then going to semi-square Saturn. The Lord of Karma, ruling over our roles, responsibilities, systems, structures, foundations, willpower, discipline, and in this Pisces energy has a lot to do with deconstructing the old system of beliefs, really taking a good look at the lies, the fibs, the delusions that we've told ourselves, where it is that there is a new truth emerging, where it is that there is a new, I'm going to call it spiritual direction, calling us to pursue something new, to reach our potential, to reach a new mission, to go on a new quest. There is an element where there is a deconstruction happening, which is the Pisces energy. Just think of water crashing upon the earth. Eventually it's going to erode that earth, and the earth is going to change its form. But in the place of the things that are eroding, Saturn is there wanting to build something new in the place of the things that are crumbling. And a lot of this has to do with our spirituality, has a lot to do with our belief system, has a lot to do with our dreams, our creative force, energy, power. And so the moon interacting with Saturn in this way doesn't really feel good, because here's the thing. The moon in Aries, again, emotionally trying to get us well established with motivation, with inspiration to dive into something new. We're building the momentum of wanting to initiate a new chapter. Saturn restricts us. He pumps the brakes. So here we have the moon in Aries stepping on the gas, and Saturn's over here not only pumping the brakes, but, grasping that e-brake as well. We're not going anywhere as fast. Why? Because we're too impatient. We're acting on impulse, and the want, need, and desire for us to just close the door on the mess that our old lives essentially are right now, to jump into something new, just means that we're leaving a lot of room for the past to come back and haunt us when things are finally going good. So this is a realization that if we want the free and clear to actually move forward without the past kind of, I'm going to say, knocking on our door, so to speak, as we're building towards something new, then we have to do the work to clean up, resolve, kind of bring things to a finality, to a completion point now. And so the friction here is that, emotionally speaking, we don't want to slow the pace. We don't want to slow the roll. We don't want to actually do the hard work. We don't want to actually take a good look at the blueprints of what it is that we have to do to build this bridge to get us away from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. We just want to fast forward through the hard parts. And of course, that is, human function at its finest. But Mr. Saturn is pumping the brakes because we know better. We have gone through certain situations, circumstances, and experiences in our past that we should be plucking the knowledge, the wisdom out of right now to integrate into this present moment right now, so that we're not kind of falling into a looping pattern, a looping behavior. I'm sure we can all identify where it is that we're rushing to get out of this present moment and into something better, something more exciting, something, I'm going to say, more hopeful. But yet we aren't really cleaning up the mess of the past in a way that we should, so that, again, it doesn't come back trying to haunt us when things are finally going well for us in our new quest, in our new mission, in our new adventure. 2:43 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Mercury semi-squaring Uranus. Mercury's the ruler of the mental plane, now in Aries energy. Uranus is the highest form of our intellects. We have the higher form and the lower form now coming together in a tension-filled conflict. What is the conflict, you may ask? Well, Mercury, now in this Aries energy, is very impatient. We're in a rush. We just want to figure things out. We want to make a decision. We want to make a choice. We want to take action. We want to make moves. Okay, well, Uranus, the great awakener, is trying to show us a bigger, greater, grander perspective, because, of course, he's stuck in fixed Earth energy and Taurus energy, which means that any change, any kind of transformation that we are making, especially that affects our physical realm, the physical elements that our old versions of self had created, has to be slow. Has to be so freaking low and slow to make sure that the changes that we're making are actually going to be strong enough, stabilized enough to house the bigger, greater, grander dream, vision, goal that we're looking to conjure up right now. So these two coming together, first of all, it is going to be a little bit tense. It is going to have major repercussions on our central nervous system. If you haven't listened to the Ascension forecast for this week, I'm going to recommend you do so that you understand where the physical ailments are coming to the forefront of our awareness due to the energy blockages that some of these particular events are trying to highlight, so that we can feel it, so that we can heal it, so that we can wrap this puppy up and actually move on. We are mentally, I'm going to call it manic, excited, overwhelmed, but highly distractible. So we have many, many tabs and windows open in our brain. There's music coming from various tabs. We don't know which tabs they are. We are kind of all over the place. We're scatterbrained. We can't focus on one thing at a time. We can't complete one thought at a time. We're jumping. And that may actually kind of come up in the conversations, in our elements where we're having to communicate ourselves, and it's not working so well. And we're really struggling to find the words because our mouths do not keep up with the speed of our thoughts. And I think y'all can kind of understand that I deal with that every day. And many of us do, but we're really going to feel the pressurized system taking over our mental plane and therefore pressurizing our speech here today. There is this element where, again, this Aries energy wants us to rush, snapping our fingers. Like, we got to hurry up. We got to hurry up. We got to figure it out. We have to decide. We have to choose. We have to take action. We have to get a plan together. But the Taurus energy that Uranus is in is like, listen, you can come up with all the great ideas that you want. You can jump from one thought to the other. We're not making any moves anytime soon. Okay. And if we are, it's going to be incremental moves and adjustments because that fixed earth energy just does not like to change. And so we have to make sure that we're not jumping into anything. We have to make sure that we're not acting on impulse and we're not acting on our urges, that we're just kind of slowing the pace down whenever we can. The big problem here is that we're bored. We are bored with our lives. We're bored with routine. The pressure of doing the same old is really, really getting to us. We don't want to do it anymore. Therefore, we're pressurizing our mental plane to come up with something different so that we can add a little bit of spice back to our life. But it's coming out of this, I'm going to call it anxious, pressurized system of just like, hurry up, let's do things. Let's kind of, fast forward to the green light, go. When realistically speaking, if we do that, we're missing a lot of the finer details that need to be cleaned up, need to be resolved. The moon in this Aries energy going to make an interaction with Neptune in his place of power in this Pisces energy. And this is going to be a beautiful thing for us to kind of, I'm going to say, slow our physical roll down in order for us to move into a, let's call it, connection with the higher self, to understand intuitively where it is that we're being called to pursue new goals, new visions, new dreams. Now, once we understand that the green light go ahead has not been given to us, that our physical bodies are not in a state of taking action because our mind, our body, our soul equation is not in alignment, then we can kind of switch gears and understand that this is about cultivating the motivation, the inspiration, the excitement, the passion, even the anger needed in order to stay the course, in order to actually have the energy to push through the blockages, the challenges that we know that we're going to face when we actually go ahead and start switching things up, changing things, really trying to implement something new. So this is the last aspect of the moon in Aries. And again, all of these have been void, of course, is going to make. That's at 3:52 p.m. 10:57 p.m. So again, another huge gap. We are going to see that we are shifting gears. We lock into this Taurus energy at 8:29 p.m. So it's like the halfway point. We're kind of sitting in it. We're chilling. We're kind of seeing the pace kind of slow down. We're seeing where it is that we need to be grounded and anchored and more present. That takes place 8:29 p.m. 10:57 p.m. So we sit in that for a couple of hours. We have the moon in Taurus energy sextiling Venus in Pisces energy. So first of all, Venus rules over the Taurus energy that the moon is in. So this is going to be an intense interaction. And Venus in Pisces energy working with Taurus energy is a beautiful thing. And here's why. The Pisces energy is very, let's call it, cleansing and purifying on our heart space. It is transforming our heart space because we're healing certain emotions that we've been carrying that we no longer want to carry. We are tapping into creative force energy. So we're imagining a different situation, circumstance, scenario that we would prefer to be living. The Pisces energy is very magical, very dreamy, very mystical, very intuitive, very, very, I'm going to say, on the creative force energy side. The moon in Taurus is realism. Okay, so we're able to take this intuitive inspiration, this goal, this vision, this dream that we're conjuring up in our heart space that makes us feel good, makes us feel happy, makes us feel safe, secure, and stable. We're actually able to bring it to life through the Taurus energy. Taurus energy is where we bring ideas and inspirations into form. But again, reminder, the moon in Taurus really doesn't like to think too far about the future, doesn't like to think too far into the past. We're really focused on finding the attitude of gratitude, plucking out the silver linings here in this present moment. So what we're getting from this is a little bit of a hint and a clue on where it is that our heart space is changing, what it is in our physical realm that needs to be adjusted, needs to be tweaked, needs to be changed, needs to transform in order for us to have a realm, a reality that looks good, that feels good, that's in alignment with our higher selves. Now, are we going to be bringing any of these ideas to life in this moment as of right now? No, absolutely not. But we are building in the visual that needs to be kind of, locked in order for us to actually start manifesting that. And this is a beautiful, beautiful kickoff on how it is that we, over the next couple of days, are really going to fine tune the visual that we are going to lock in, that we are actively going to start trying to bring together, bring to life, bring into form, manifest here in our physical reality. The moon gets into the boxing ring and fights it out with Pluto, though. So, like I said, just as we take one step forward, there's usually an energy that takes us one step back. The moon interacting with Pluto is always a hard time because there is this element where we're reviewing some of the weaker points that we're feeling in our emotions and our mental plane. We are focused on the problems. We're focused on, I'm going to say, just the areas of concern that we're having a hard time resolving at this point. This is where a little tiny bit of negative narratives and Debbie Downer moods and attitudes kind of kick in and really put us in a situation to think about all the issues and all the problems before we flip the script and actually start empowering ourselves to take control, especially over our emotions and over our mental plane, so that we're arriving at a place where we are feeling a lot more capable of doing the things that right now our fears, our doubts, our insecurities, our low self-confidence, our low self-esteem is really promoting us to settle in. And it's a very difficult energy because, of course, Pluto wants to push us into a major change, into a major transformation that the moon in Taurus, a fixed earth sign, wants to resist at all costs. So again, we're seeing the friction. Now, Venus is going to interact with Pluto shortly thereafter, and this is going to be an intensity on our heart space, an intensity on taking a good look at our physical realms and identifying the problems, identifying what it is that we don't want, what it is that we don't want to continue to pour into in order for us to make a major change. This is a positive interaction, which means that there is some realization, there is some aha moment that is taking over our heart space in a very, I'm going to say, powerfully inspired kind of way that is putting us in a situation to boss up, especially in our feminine energy. Feminine energy is intuition, it is our emotions, it is the flexibility, it is the fluidity that we need to understand that we are the creators of our realities, and we are tapping into a new level of creative force energy, and Pluto is helping, because he's in Aquarius energy, helping us to see what it is that we can do better, where it is that we can improve. Yes, we have to identify the problems in order to feel the intensity of feeling trapped in those particular circumstances before we're going to push the boundaries of our comfort zone to come up with a different alternative. This is a boss up energy, but it comes kind of full stop through tension of feeling trapped, especially where your heart space, where relationship dynamics and money matters are concerned. Now, the last thing that we have going on here today at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Venus and Jupiter coming together in a very positive way. This is a beautiful, beautiful energy. First of all, it's very, I'm going to call it soothing. We have Jupiter in Taurus energy. Of course, Venus rules over that Taurus energy. Jupiter actually rules over the Pisces energy, co-rules, let's say, that Venus is in. And so this kind of puts us in a situation where we understand what we have to compromise on. There's a little bit of a give and take here. Intuitively speaking, we have a goal, a vision, a dream that we're working towards, but taking a good look at our physical realm, it almost seems damn near impossible that we could even make the changes necessary in order to actually find ourselves in that situation, in that circumstance, in that scenario. And so the fixed earth sign that Jupiter is in, and again, Jupiter's all about growth and expansion. We do want to grow, we do want to expand, we do want to create new options and opportunities for ourselves in our lives, to stabilize, to be happy, to have some fun, but it's going to be a very low and slow process. And Venus, because she's in Pisces energy, she has some high highs, she has some low lows. We're tapping into our intuition, we're tapping into creativity, we're tapping into imagination, trying to create a visual of what it is that we would like our lives to be. And so there is a realization on where compromise needs to happen first and foremost. And we're also kind of a little bit more empathetic, a little bit more compassionate because of Venus and Pisces energy. So now we're kind of giving ourselves or other people the benefit of the doubt when we normally wouldn't do so. It just feels good. It feels renewing. It feels restorative in our faith and our hopes and our wishes and our dreams. And it just feels good to finally have something, even if it's just a little tiny detail, a little bit of a glimmer of an idea that actually makes us excited, makes us feel hopeful, makes us feel like we can actually break out of some of the circumstances and situations that we find ourselves in and actually kind of conjure up a vision, a goal, a dream on where it is that we're living a much happier, much peaceful, much more calming, soothing, comfortable type of reality.